In a world where respect is treated like currency, most people think they must earn it through approval, smiles, and accommodation. But here's the reality. True respect is not given. It's commanded. And disrespect, it arrives quietly. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't leave visible scars. Yet it has the power to erode something sacred within you, your self-worth. It's the colleague who cuts you off mid-sentence, the friend who makes a joke at your expense, the moment your kindness is mistaken for weakness. Each time it happens, you're faced with a choice: respond or stay silent. And most people? They stay silent, believing they're keeping the peace when in reality they're granting permission. This is the mistake Machiavelli would warn against, not because you didn't shout back, but because you allowed that silence to become your strategy. Disrespect thrives when it's unchallenged, and like an unchecked fire, it will spread until it consumes everything. Today we strip this down to the core. We're going to expose the anatomy of disrespect, apply the brutal clarity of Machiavelli's philosophy, and build a strategy that ensures you never tolerate it again. Because once you understand this, you won't just protect your dignity, you'll project a presence that demands respect without you ever asking for it. Disrespect is one of the most dangerous forces in human interaction because it rarely arrives in a form you can easily identify. It doesn't usually come with shouting, insults, or open hostility. More often it's subtle. It's the faint smirk when you're speaking, the forgetting to include you in a decision, the casual dismissal of your ideas as if they have no weight. These are the micro-fractures in your armor, so small you might be tempted to ignore them. And that's exactly how they spread. Think of disrespect like a weed. Left unchecked, it multiplies, its roots digging deeper into the soil of your relationships. Every time you ignore it, every time you choose not to address it, you're watering that weed. The person learns, consciously or unconsciously, that they can treat you this way without consequences. And soon it's no longer an isolated incident, it's a pattern. Machiavelli would call this a failure in statecraft. Just as a ruler must protect their borders from the smallest incursions, you must guard your boundaries from even the slightest breach. Because once disrespect becomes routine, it rewrites how others see you, and worse, how you see yourself. You begin to adjust your behavior, speaking less, avoiding confrontation, convincing yourself that it's not worth it. But here's the truth. Every act of disrespect you let pass is a brick removed from the foundation of your self-worth. But those small cuts accumulate, and when they do, you're not just losing respect from others, you're losing respect for yourself. The first step in destroying disrespect is recognizing it in its earliest form and understanding that silence is not strength, it's surrender. Machiavelli's most controversial teaching, "It is much safer to be feared than loved if you must choose," is often misunderstood. He wasn't telling you to become cruel or tyrannical. He was pointing to a truth about human behavior. People respect boundaries they know they cannot cross. Fear in his philosophy was never about aggression. It was about deterrence, about creating an aura that makes people think twice before testing you. Now translate this into your personal life. You may not sit on a throne or rule a kingdom, but you govern something equally important: your time, your energy, and your space. When you fail to protect those domains, you invite others to trample over them. And once someone realizes they can overstep without consequence, they will again and again. Machiavelli would tell you that being loved without boundaries is an illusion. People may like you, but they will not hesitate to disrespect you if they see no risk in doing so. Being feared in the right sense means that your presence carries weight. It means you communicate through your words, your posture, and your silence that crossing you has a cost, not a cost of violence, but a cost of access. Think of respect like a mirror. It reflects exactly what you project. If you stand tall, communicate clearly, and value your own time, the reflection is dignity. But if you bow too quickly, over-accommodate, or ignore disrespect to keep the peace, the reflection is weakness, and people respond accordingly. In the world of strategy, perception is reality. If others perceive you as someone whose boundaries are unshakable, they will adjust their behavior. That's how fear, in the Machiavellian sense, works. It's not about ruling through intimidation. It's about ruling through the quiet certainty that you will not tolerate disrespect. Ever. Machiavelli famously advised rulers to be both the lion and the fox. The lion embodies strength, dominance, and an undeniable presence. The fox represents cunning, perception, and the ability to see through deception. Alone, each has weaknesses. Together, they form a complete strategy for commanding respect and dismantling disrespect before it takes root. The lion does not roar at every provocation. It doesn't need to. Its mere presence is enough to deter most threats. This is the first lesson. You don't have to engage every time someone disrespects you. In fact, overreacting can sometimes weaken your position, signaling insecurity rather than power. The lion's strength is in its restraint, the ability to stand firm without unnecessary movement. The fox, on the other hand, sees everything. It detects manipulation in false compliments, recognizes the bait hidden in casual remarks, and spots the subtle power plays others attempt. This awareness is crucial because most disrespect is delivered under the cover of just joking or not meaning anything by it. The fox understands that the game is being played, even when others pretend it's not. To master both is to know when to act and when to hold your ground. The art of non-reaction is not passivity, it's calculated patience. When someone disrespects you, your first move is observation, not retaliation. What is their intent? Is this an isolated incident or part of a pattern? Once you know the answer, you respond strategically by setting limits, withdrawing access, or confronting them at a moment when it benefits you, not them. The combination of the lion's presence and the fox's perception creates an environment where disrespect cannot thrive. People learn that your silence is not weakness, it's a warning, and that warning is often more powerful than any immediate outburst could ever be. Kindness is one of the most misunderstood traits in human interaction. We are taught from an early age that kindness means saying yes, avoiding conflict, and giving people the benefit of the doubt. But here's the cold truth. Kindness without boundaries is self-destruction disguised as virtue. When kindness becomes automatic, indiscriminate, and constant, it stops being respected. It becomes expected. And when people expect something, they stop valuing it. Machiavelli would never tell you to abandon kindness entirely. Instead, he would tell you to weaponize it, to make it intentional, to give it in doses, not floods. In strategy, scarcity breeds value. That means your kindness must be directed toward people who have earned it, not just anyone who demands your time, energy, or attention. You see, the dangerous side of unchecked kindness is that it often attracts exactly the type of people who will exploit it. They will test your limits with small requests, knowing you'll say yes. They will joke at your expense, knowing you'll laugh along. And they will keep pushing because you've trained them to expect no resistance. The shift happens when you realize that withholding kindness from those who disrespect you is not cruelty, it's clarity. It sends a message that access to your generosity is a privilege, not a right. This is how you command respect without saying a word. People start to notice that you are kind, yes, but only to those who treat you with the same level of regard. When you stop over-apologizing, stop accommodating everyone, and stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable, something changes. People's tone changes when they speak to you. They think twice before interrupting you. They measure their words more carefully, not because you told them to, but because you taught them to. And here's the key takeaway. True kindness is not about being endlessly available. It's about being selectively generous. That selectiveness is what transforms your kindness from something forgettable into something unforgettable. Self-respect is the foundation upon which every other form of respect is built. If you don't respect yourself, no one else will. And here's the uncomfortable reality. Most people think they have self-respect, but what they actually have is self-comfort. They avoid conflict not because they are at peace, but because they are afraid of losing approval. They stay silent, not because they're above the insult, but because they're afraid of confrontation. This is not self-respect, it's self-preservation at the cost of dignity. Machiavelli understood that the way others treat you is a direct reflection of the standards you set. If your boundaries are flexible, people will bend them. If your value must constantly be explained, it will constantly be doubted. And if you are willing to tolerate small acts of disrespect in the name of keeping the peace, you're not keeping the peace, you're keeping yourself in a cage. Your inner kingdom is everything: your mind, your time, your energy. If you do not guard it with discipline, you invite chaos. Every yes to something that violates your values is a brick removed from your castle walls. Eventually, the fortress falls. Not because someone stormed the gates, but because you handed them the keys. The transformation happens the moment you stop negotiating your worth. When you understand that self-respect is not arrogance, but alignment with your own value, you stop chasing external validation. You no longer need applause to feel worthy. You no longer need agreement to stand firm. And here's the magic. When you operate from that place, people sense it. They speak more carefully around you. They listen more closely. They know you will not tolerate anything less than respect, and they adjust accordingly or they vanish. In the end, self-respect is the most strategic form of power. It's not loud, it's not aggressive, and it's not unstable. It is calm, immovable, and constant. When you master it, disrespect cannot survive in your presence. Not because you destroy it with force, but because it simply has no place to live. Destroying disrespect before it destroys you is not about becoming aggressive, vengeful, or paranoid. It's about becoming unshakable. When your boundaries are clear, when your standards are non-negotiable, when your self-respect is not up for debate, you stop having to fight for respect, because it becomes the only way people know how to treat you. This transformation is a quiet revolution. You don't announce it. You don't post about it, you live it. Every time you withdraw from someone who crosses your limits, every time you stop over-explaining your decisions, every time you refuse to be drawn into petty arguments, you are training the world in how to interact with you. And here's the truth: some people will rise to meet that standard, and others will fade away. Both outcomes are victories. Machiavelli's wisdom wasn't just for rulers of kingdoms, it was for rulers of themselves. Power in its purest form is control over your own life. You don't need to intimidate to be respected. You don't need to shout to be heard. You only need to live in such a way that disrespect has nowhere to take root. That is the strategy of the lion and the fox. That is the art of being undeniable. So let this be your shift, your moment to reclaim what is already yours. Let your silence carry weight. Let your kindness be deliberate. Let your presence speak before you do. And most importantly, let your self-respect be the fortress no one can breach. From this point forward, you do not tolerate what wounds you. You do not explain your worth. You do not shrink to make others comfortable. This is not arrogance. It's alignment. The kind that forces the world to choose, respect you, or lose access to you. And either way, you win. If this message resonated with you, understand something. Strategy without action is useless. You've just learned how to dismantle disrespect before it ever takes root, but it means nothing if you walk back into your life and operate the same way you did before. Every conversation, every interaction from this moment forward is a test of whether you've absorbed this or merely heard it. So here's what I want you to do. Start small, but start now. The next time someone interrupts you, dismisses you, or takes without asking, pause. Don't rush to react. Let the lion stand and the fox observe. Then, respond with boundaries so clear they cannot be ignored. Remove access where it's not earned. Offer kindness only where it's reciprocated. And carry yourself as though your time and your energy are the rarest commodities on earth. Because they are. If you want more strategies like this, strategies that don't just sound good but actually work in the real world, subscribe to the Cold Strategist. We go deeper than motivational fluff. We break down the psychology of power, influence, and presence so you can walk into any room without bending to anyone's terms but your own. Drop a comment below. What's one situation in your life right now where you need to reclaim respect? Write it down. That's the first step to owning it. And remember, respect is not given, it's commanded. And you, from this moment on, command it without apology.